Hey, it's BrickTsar, and in this special episode of BAT, we're going to be answering a couple of questions. Both are by Matthew O'Brien, and it has to do with vintage bricks and how you can tell them apart, and if you should use modern parts in a vintage set and call it complete. So basically, the first question, is there a website that shows the underside of bricks from all years? How do you know if a set you bought has time-appropriate parts? I am a newcomer to vintage and would like to start collecting mini wheel sets from around 1974. And 74 is the perfect year. And there is a website. I'll put a link to it in the description below, but there's actually several websites. But one has the most not comprehensive, but it's condensed. It's not a lot there. Gives you enough that you need to know, and it's at leggodt.nl. And I'll put the complete link to the page that they have set up. And then in this video, after I ask your next question, we'll go into showing you some bricks and how you can tell that they are at least from the 70s or sooner. And your other question you ask is, would you consider for your personal collection a Lego set complete if it had the box, instructions, correct part count, but non-period appropriate parts? What if you were planning to sell it? Yes. Two different situations there. For my personal collection, I don't really worry about it, although I do try to get the vintage parts. If I don't have enough of them, I'll usually go ahead and use modern parts, but as I get the vintage parts, I replace them. So some of the things like 1x6s and 1x8s and like blue and black, sometimes I don't have many of those, and I'll go ahead and if I want to build something, I'll use the modern parts. But if I was going to sell it, I'd want as many as possible to be vintage, and I would always leave the possibility that I made an error. Some of the stuff's easier to tell apart, like open stud bricks and things like that, but the price difference is not significant enough that it should bother anybody. So now let's show you some bricks that most of them are going to be from the before 1980. All right, we'll do a comparison of some of the vintage bricks and some of the differences. And this is not going to be a comprehensive video that covers every variation of every type of brick or even of one type of brick. But it's just to give you an idea to help you know that at least something's not modern if you're looking at bricks, and if it's a concern to you that your model has at least pieces that are close to the age that your set was produced. Now, there's not going to be a lot of price difference on some of the common elements. So to me, personally, it's not that big a difference if this 1x8 is from 1974 or if it's from 1980. It doesn't really matter to me. But it does matter to some collectors, and that could affect your set technically being complete. But then again, you got to realize that a lot of the inventories are incorrect, even on Bricklink, and especially on Puron. Sometimes they'll have listed as the 3001 brick being in a set from 1968, when really that would have to be a different type. It'd be 3001, but it'd be the old version. It wouldn't be the new version. But anyway, we'll look at some of these, and we'll start over here with the 2x4 bricks. So I'll slide these out of the way. I have 5 different 2x4 bricks, and there are probably a lot more variations than this. But if you can notice on the sides of these, there's that little dot. It looks like an imperfection in the brick. It is not. That is the PIP. P-I-P. All those bricks have them, and even this one has it. And it's only going to be on one side of the brick, and this one does not have it. So which of these is the newest brick? It's going to be this one. Now, all of these are older bricks, but they're all different. This is probably the oldest. It's made out of a different material. This is cellulose acetate. And on the back side of it, there's no cross supports on the tubes. And I'll show you those in a minute. And it says Pat Pending inside. So this is an old one from the 60s. Here's another old one. It has the old Lego logo. Again, has the PIP. Has no cross support. And says Pat Pending on the underside. Let me see if I can get it upside down. patent pending. Now the PIP was used on all Lego pretty much until 1974 or 73. So if you got the PIP, it's definitely not modern. And I think they still had some molding machines that used it until 1979. So if you have that on your, focus, if you have the PIP on your brick, it was made before 1980, basically. I think. Could be wrong. All right, now here's another one. Again, this one says patent pending. All right. And this one also says patent pending. But this one has the cross support. You see the piece that goes between the middle tube, and it's got the part number 3001 on it. So this is a more modern brick. Still could be from it's after 1980, but likely even later than that, more recent. So that's how you can tell the difference. Look for the PIP, the little dot on the side of the bricks. So that's the 2x4 bricks. Now let's get these we got 1x8s and 1x6s, and these are all different. This one doesn't have the PIP. Or does it? Oh yeah, this one does. I think it's on this tip here, because this is definitely a vintage piece. It has no tubes on the bottom. So that's another way you can tell a piece is old. It has no tubes. And some sets in some time periods have some with tubes, some without tubes. So that makes it hard to tell too. Now here's one with tubes and cross supports between the tubes. You see every other tube has the support. And does it have a PIP? I don't think that's a PIP. I think that's actually an imperfection on it. This one has the PIP. It's on this side. It has tubes, but not the same thickness of cross support. It's got cross supports, but they run lower in the tube. So this is the one on the left is the most modern, then this one, and this is the oldest one. And then with these 1x6s, same thing. You got a PIP there, tubes. This one's got thicker cross support, so this one's more modern, and it doesn't have the PIP. All right, and you can do that for just about all the bricks. Just some examples here. Here's a 2x3. It's got the PIP, no cross supports, PIP. Now the 2x2s are a little. When you get to the smaller bricks, it's getting harder to tell. And 1x2s. All right, this one has a hole. If you see a hole in the tube like this, a small hole, you know it's modern. This one has standard tube, solid tube. And it's got, I forgot to show you, it's got the PIP. It's hard to keep this thing focused. I was just going to take pictures. All right, and then here's a cellulose acetate. And I think the corner here is where it held it. The PIP is the little piece that held it to the, in the molding machine, and there's a PIP. So you know this is an old one. So that's basically on the 1x's. It's you're either going to tell by the logo or the PIP if it's older. Let's see. Yeah, here's a modern one. The PIP's on the top. This stud, I think it's that stud right there, has the PIP, and it's less unsightly, and that's why Lego started doing that. So that will just kind of give you an idea. Won't tell you necessarily specific years, but until 1974, all Lego bricks would have the PIP. And then between 1974 and 1979, they could have either. And then after that, they didn't. So that gives you a general ballpark figure. But quick things you can do: look for the PIP on one side, see if it's got cross supports, see or not, or if it has a hole on the bottom. And then this one has no. I forgot the cellulose acetate has nothing on the bottom. So anyway, that's just some of the variations. There's way too many to cover in a video, and I just wanted to show you those. So keep in mind, this is not a complete list. It doesn't cover every scenario. It just kind of gives you an idea of what might be vintage. So thanks for watching. I really thank Matthew O'Brien for the great questions, and maybe in time I'll do a better job with and update this with another video that's more comprehensive and more succinct. Anyway, thanks for watching. This is BrickTsar.